Hello and welcome to A Build a Day, the series where one roll of the dice tells us what we are building next in this city build. Last episode, the dice gave us a sawmill, which now is an integral part of this city's infrastructure. However, we don't know what we're doing next because we haven't rolled the dice yet, so let's roll those dice and see what we get today. Okay, so we rolled a 16. And according to the table, that is a tenement house. A tenement house is more along the lines of a very cramped apartment complex. It's a lot of different rooms where there's more people than should really be there. It's not very well kept. It's kind of a mess. So we're gonna start there and see how things go from here. Let's get going. So if you are new to doing gradients in your builds, as I very much am, what I used is the Minecraft gradient generator. If you put that into Google, it's going to be the first result that comes up. It'll come up under the name Malachi Fernandez. And it's a very simple tool to use. You just choose what block you want to start with and what you want to end with, and it'll give you a whole array of blocks that you can use. The only downside that I've had with it is that you can't select blocks that you can only get in survival. So I've had things like command blocks show up. However, it's a very simple thing. You just click on them and you can remove any blocks you don't want to use or don't have on hand. And that's what I used here to give me some suggestions on how I can work with my gradients. Now, this is a tool only, so you got to use your own discretion at some point, but it is very helpful to get you the first 70% of the way there. So the thing that drew me away from using similar textured blocks to doing full gradient is the realization that I'm not near as up close and personal with my builds as I always thought I was. In a previous episode, I mentioned I stick with the same texture builds because I am up next to my builds all the time, and I like having everything be a similar texture with varying colors to imply the gradients that I like. And I realized that thinking is wrong to an extent. In a city, you're never going to be up close and personal with every single building all the time. It just doesn't happen. What does happen, however, is that you look at the skyline. You go to the top of the tower and you look over the city. You walk down the street and these buildings cross in your peripheral vision. And what you notice is the gradients. You don't notice the textures. You notice how things are fading from white to brown or from green to black or whatever else. You notice those things. You don't notice that it's all stone block variants. So that's why I've started switching and testing out these gradients, because I'm hoping that as people look at this build from a distance and up close, that it will inspire them more than if I just use the same textures over everything. here we are. The tenement houses are complete, and as you guys saw in the time lapse, there's a lot more buildings here than just one building. I felt like this needed to be a bit more like a complex. So something that my brother John actually gave me as an idea is that this was guard homes for the prison because they are right next to where the prison is. So the idea would be that these were at one point the homes for the guards that were on duty. However, they have been repurposed, and now people are, living here in very cramped environment, very cramped situation. What I'm proud of with this build is that I have started practicing using gradients that I have never used before and that I've really not been a part of my builds up to this point. As you can see, I have several layers of color here, and I'm using the vines to sort of blend things together and cover things up. Let's go down to one of the cellars. Oh, so go down here to the cellar, and in here you can see I did a lot of gradient work here. I ended up burying a lot of it, as you guys saw in the earlier stages of the build. But these basements, they're all relatively the same. They have, storage for stuff left behind by the guards. So then you get inside here. You guys weren't able to see this because of the time lapse positioning. But these are basically just really cramped quarters. You get several people in each room. This room one room gets 4 people. And once you get 4 people in there, it's going to feel very cramped. And over here, there's another 4 beds. These are supposed to be very cramped living conditions. And as you can see, because this is a very small community, they have their own animals. They have little patches where they do their gardening, and they have a wash basin where they do their own washing, and then they hang all of it up on lines. This is a small, humble, but tight-knit community. And you see that in the fact that, in a lot of cases, they're having to share rooms. Like 2 different families would stay here, but they have only one. They have to trust each other in the environment. This is supposed to portray very tight-knit, family-centered community living. And so that is what we did here, and I'm very proud of how this turned out. And I'm hoping that one day we can get a world download going of this so you guys can come visit it yourself when this whole city's done. You guys can come visit this and see just how much work and love was put into this build, because I spent a lot of extra time just getting the gradients right, just getting the feel right. And I think that even though I built so much on here, this is my favorite build yet. It just feels so much more alive. And then pretty soon here, I'm going to be bringing villagers over, and there's going to be villagers that live here. And there's going to be more animals just all over the place. It's going to feel so much more alive. And I'm really looking forward to that. So guys, if you've enjoyed this build and you've enjoyed watching the work that I've been doing on this series, I have more of these coming. I know it's called a build a day, but they're coming more like every other day. I'm putting a lot of work in. These are like 8-hour days, 10-hour days for me, around me doing the work that I normally have to do. So if you guys are enjoying this, please subscribe. Check out my other videos. I have this as a playlist, and this is gonna be a 3rd episode in that playlist. So please check it out. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much. This has been Panache.